What's good, YouTube? This is Cam chilling back again with another video. And wow, is this the second week in a row where I don't have to feel all stressed out? Is my head not feeling any sweaty at all? Second week in a row? I am extremely pleased as the Packers dominated against the Miami Dolphins 30-17. This is probably the most highly anticipated game. We all thought that this was going to be the most entertaining game out of all the three Thanksgiving games. This was going to be the most hyped, and it turns out it's just a game that did not go as planned as everybody would have liked to, except for maybe Packers fans. And hey, for those who didn't know, last year when the Packers played a game on Thanksgiving, it was against the Detroit Lions. They did the Packers extremely, and I mean extremely dirty. Because normally when you win the game, the crew would give the guy some turkey and some other food, like maybe like mac and cheese and probably some ham and other things like that. They didn't do that for the Green Bay Packers because everybody were all in on the Lions. They were expecting them to dominate, but they know better to not overlook the team that the Lions had to face. That is the Green Bay Packers. But for this past Thanksgiving, Jordan Love got his turkey, so woohoo! And it's all thanks to the Hall of Famer Leroy Butler being able to help to make it happen. So what a beautiful sight that is indeed. Jordan Love and other players, well, were able to get their turkey leg, they were able to get their food. That is amazing to see. But with all that being said, let's get into what happened in this game. So we're going to start with Jordan Love. He completed 21 of 28, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, not a single sack there throughout the whole game. The offensive line, once again, did a phenomenal job. And hey, this is the second week in a row that Jordan Love does not have an interception on the stat sheet. So it seems like we might be starting to see that run that Jordan Love had where he doesn't throw any interceptions, just like last season. You also look at Josh Jacobs. Now, in terms of running the football, it was not the greatest. Only 19 carries, just 43 yards, an average of 2.3 yards per carry, so it's not great. But he did have a touchdown there. But it's not just a running attack, but he was dominant in the receiving yards. That's where he was most dangerous. As he had 4 catches for 74 yards, he was literally destroying the Dolphins' defense, especially in the air, including those juke moves they did on those defenders. Whoo, boy. I think that guy has to do a better job staying on his feet next time, just saying. Just for advice. But yes, Josh Jacobs looked good once again. Chris Brooks, the former Miami Dolphin, got in some action too, but only 3 carries for 28 yards. Even Jay Reed had that end around for 23 yards. And overall, the Packers ran the ball 25 times, 114 yards, an average of 4.6 yards per carry, and a touchdown. So that's a pretty solid day here for the Packers running attack. In terms of the receivers, Tucker Kraft was the leading receiver who is a tight end. 6 catches for 76 yards. This guy has been emerging himself into one of the top tight ends in the NFL. So you can't wait until Luke Musgrave comes back. You could be looking at possibly one of the best tight end duos in the league. Hey, I'm just saying. Because Luke Musgrave was kind of doing his thing last year. But then Tucker Kraft had to come in. He did his thing. But Luke Musgrave, he was looking good down the stretch last season. So imagine what's going to happen when both those guys get on the field at the same time whenever he comes back. But anyways, great game for Tucker Kraft. Josh Jacobs, we already talked about him. 4 catches for 74 yards. Christian Watson, only 2 catches for 67 yards, including catching that long ball, that long deep ball from Jordan Love. He was able to make it up after that horrible drop against the 49ers this week. But it's great to see Christian Watson being able to make up with that long, deep ball catch. Tavia Wicks also had a number of catches. Caught the ball 4 times for just 30 yards. Jay Reed, he also had a couple of catches, 24 yards. And he also had the 2 touchdowns from Jordan Love. And the defense, they look good once again. Now, I know the stat sheet from Tua, he looked like he had a lot of yards. As we take a look at his stats for Tua, he completed 37 out of 46. So that's a lot of passes that Tua threw. 365 yards and 2 touchdowns. But when you watch the game was already out of hand. Now, there was a point where it looked like the Dolphins were about to come back. I want to say it was like before the end of the third quarter, I think it was. It looked like the Dolphins were about to score after they were down 11-27. It looked like they were about to score, but then the Packers defense just shut them down. And they shut them boys down. Thanks to Mr. Quay Walker for sacking him on a 4th and goal. But then after that, that's when it looked like the game was about to be over until then. So a majority of those yards probably came into garbage time. Even though there was a lot of yards that Tua has thrown, I still like what the defense did. And they even got pressure on Tua, sacking him 5 times. So it's very amazing to see that the pass rush finally being able to get home after they have been struggling to get after the quarterback this season. But it seems like that might be the start for what is to come here in the future. And speaking of this defense, they were able to shut down the Dolphins' rushing attack. Remember Raheem Mostert, the guy who ran the ball all over the Packers defense in that championship game when he used to play for the 49ers? Well, this game, now he only carried the ball 5 times, but only 19 yards. Devon A-Chain, the other nice, solid running back. In fact, he's a very good running back in my eyes. He carried the ball 7 times and only 14 yards. So, wow. As a team, they only ran the ball 14 times for 39 yards. So, it's very great to see that the Packers being able to shut down the Dolphins' rushing attack, which you don't normally see very often, because normally you always see the Packers defense getting gashed by these running attacks time and time again. But so far this season, the Packers have been looking better in rushing defense. Now, I haven't looked at the stats yet, but something tells me we definitely made a right call for getting a new defensive coordinator. So I absolutely love seeing that this Packers defense be able to stop the run, which we haven't had for a very long time. Love, love, love it. As for the receivers for the Miami Dolphins, it was Jonnu Smith. Now, he's the guy who has been on a tear for the past couple of weeks, including this past game. 10 catches for 113 yards. So, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. The linebackers for the Packers, even though they had some good moments in terms of rushing defense, but coverage has been a problem pretty much all season. But I think most of that was because that the Packers defense were extremely focusing on slowing down Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, the top 2 receivers there for the Miami Dolphins. So that's understandable. So that's allowed Jonnu Smith to get a number of targets. I mean, Tyreek Hill, now he did have 6 catches for 83 yards, but some of those yards came into garbage time. But so to me, I think the defense did a very good job on limiting Tyreek Hill. So that is very good to see. This is one of the elite wide receivers in the NFL. And for them to be able to slow him down without our best defender, and Jair Alexander I'm talking about, you gotta love that. Jaylen Waddle, 4 catches for 53 yards. So after he had that crazy game against the New England Patriots, he kind of slowed down a bit here in the Packers game. So that's also amazing to see that the Packers was being able to slow him down. Love that. Raheem Mostert and Alex Ingold, the fullback, both those guys had 2 catches. Raheem Mostert had 15 yards, and so did Ingold. So both of those guys have the same identical stats. Odell Beckham, only 1 catch for 9 yards. But overall, man, definitely like what this Packers defense did to the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, there were a lot of yards they were giving up, but that game was already out of hand there anyway. So I love what the Packers defense did, and I like what the Packers offense did. Now, at the beginning of the game, they did go on a 3-and-out after a nice kickoff return from Keyshawn Nixon. The Dolphins defense were able to stop them for scoring points first. But then there was a muffed punt by the Dolphins player. I think his name is like Malik Washington, I think that's his name is. As he was trying to catch that ball, but then let it out of his hand. Packers were able to recover, and then the Packers were able to capitalize for a touchdown to Jaden Reed. And then from there, it was all pretty much Packers throughout the whole game. That's what I had to feel like, oh, something tells me that the Dolphins may not be able to recover from that. And yet, that's exactly what happened. So, just an amazing win for the Green Bay Packers against a very hot Miami Dolphins team who had some momentum. and that cold weather definitely affected them. Now, Tua didn't play that bad of a game, but since it is cold weather, that's yet another loss for the Miami Dolphins playing in these cold weather conditions. So that is great to see. So now we got to get ready for next week playing against our division rival, the Detroit Lions. And remember the last time that the Detroit Lions came to face Green Bay, as they kind of put a whooping on the Green Bay Packers. Even though it was 24-14, it was pretty much all Lions throughout that game. So now we get our rematch playing against the Lions in Detroit. It's time we have to bring our A game, because this Lions team, man, they are not playing at all. They're looking like the best team in the NFL. And we got to bring our A-plus game if you want to beat the Detroit Lions, if you even want to have a chance to win the NFC North. That'll be tough, but this is not the first time that has happened. Remember last year, Thanksgiving, nobody gave Packers a chance to beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And yet, the Packers were still able to beat them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again. Now, again, this will be tough, but I have faith. I definitely have faith. This is a division rival, a worthy NFC North opponent we got to prepare for. But for right now, I love what the Packers team has done so far for the past couple of weeks, and this is a great way to end Thanksgiving with a bang. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Dolphins-Packers game on Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on this game? You can put your comments down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and also please subscribe. And until next time, this is Cam chillin', and I am signing off. Peace.